What's up, everybody? Blake the Scholar Magic, and today I just wanted to kind of go over my Illuna Apex of Wishes deck. I am acquiring all these cards in paper soon, so I can present that to you in paper form, but I think I've settled on a really sweet version of this deck. And I also wanted to shed some light on like Wizards and just MTG Arena and EDH and how they're interacting. For me, it's been such a more interesting experience lately. I think a lot of content creators are catching on. I watch a lot of Croakies. He's playing a lot of Brawl. CGB has kind of already kind of bannered the Brawl format for kind of some time. So I hope they continue kind of into that adventure. It's not that standard is a poor format to play in. I encourage you to kind of continue to get wet in that format and kind of enjoy it. And but for me, I'm a devotee to the Brawl. And I love some of just the more interesting things, how they kind of shake up the format. For instance, in the format now in Brawl, you can actually play Emrakul, the Aeons Torn. It is completely illegal in that format. This is a card that is illegal in Commander. It's considered too powerful. There's a lot of debate about it. It's kind of like fringy. It's a 15 costed card. There's a lot more powerful things that perhaps you could do than in Emrakul. But overall, how we would have been using it in this particular deck, it kind of actually made sense that it is kind of, banned to a degree, because I was using it in Brawl and I was really abusing the circumstance. And what I was doing is I was taking a card such as Illuna, and we'll go back to Emrakul in a second, but I was taking a card like Illuna here. And what I was doing is I was simply just putting creature tokens onto the battlefield. They're not creatures per se or attached to a card. So what happens is once we mutate over those, we'll reveal cards off the top of our library until we hit a permanent card. And the idea is to fill your deck with a bunch of token enablers and just really nasty mid-range spells, and then keep like 2 or 3 permanents in your deck, and you're guaranteed to hit one of those permanents. So a lot of people would use Omniscience. If you're not familiar with that, that's a card that just lets you play spells for free from your hand. I've seen one with a Multiverse, which lets you play from the top of your library, play a single spell without paying its mana cost for the turn, so it's just a lot of value. I haven't really seen too much else with creatures per se, but I wanted to go the creature route because I feel creatures are extremely strong. And what I was doing is, basically I was cheating out either on Brawl, the Emrakul, the Aeons Torn, or Ulamog, the Defiler. And those were my 2 hits. I was guaranteed to hit one of these once I successfully mutated Illuna onto that creature. So let's read this card. It's a 5-costed commander. You get access to green, blue, and red for this one. It has the mutate, which we'll be utilizing more often than not. I debate sometimes of just casting it as a 6/6 in Brawl because I just want to start swinging on someone's face. In some circumstances it might kind of make sense to do that, but mostly I'm going to be mutating, and I want to mutate. So mutating, you can go under or over when you mutate onto a particular card. That could be a lesson, for later times, but typically for Illuna, you'll want to mutate on top because you want those 6/6 stats, which is like retained for that top aspect if you do mutate on top of a creature. A 0/1 token isn't too scary. But if we can put, Illuna on top of a 0/1 token and it become a flying 6/6, it won't be affected by summoning sickness in that manner, and it could start swinging in because that token was already on the battlefield. So that's kind of nice. And then you're just going to have 2 threats on the battlefield at once, 2 really nasty threats. You're going to have like a 6/6 flyer, flying trample. In addition, you're going to have one of these, the Emrakul or the Ulamog. It's really, really strong. In Brawl especially, I was hitting the Emrakul like that. I don't even think, maybe once I hit the Defiler, but I was just locked onto the Emrakul the whole time. It was crazy. And this is just a really stupid, nasty card, and it's perfect for this deck. The reasoning why is because you don't get the extra turn, right? That's fine. But you do, this thing is basically so evasive. It obviously it gets hit by Damnation, Wrath of God type of effects. But that single target removal that has 1 or more colors, this thing just simply fades that. So it's just really impossible to interact with. It's a 15 flyer. and it has Annihilator 6. So when it swings in, your opponent has to sacrifice 6 permanents. So it's just really strong in that manner. And the thing is, if the opponent kills it, it's just shuffled right back into your deck. It's like, it's crazy. This is like the craziest card. So make sure you guys take a break, like and subscribe for this, for showing the sweet Emrakul. Like, these are cards you don't see often. They're just banned, like, you know, in most formats. So, but it's ready in Brawl. So if you want to take it for a spin, it's there, and it's really strong. And it's just a nasty thing. And it was I don't think I lost a game. I don't think I lost a game in that whole session. If you go back to, you know, when I have the Illuna Ulamog, Illuna, the trio, I didn't lose a game for that whole video. So it was really crazy. This guy's just crazy too. So this is one of your other hits. This thing is a 7/7 with ward, sacrifice 2 permanents. But when you bring it out with the Illuna, just the way the verbiage is you're exiling a permanent card and bringing it right onto the battlefield. You're putting it right on the battlefield. For whatever reason, how Wizards have outlined this and the rules is that once you exile Ulamog and it's like simultaneously being put onto the battlefield, it actually will see itself in exile, because that would be the card to see in exile as it comes onto the battlefield. So actually see itself as the highest costed card in exile, which would be 10 cost. So the Ulamog will actually come onto the battlefield as the full 17/17 when you're mutating with Illuna, which is a really interesting interaction and a very specific kind of rules text that kind of goes beyond any level of understanding that I have, other than the fact that I just know it works in this manner. And it's just something how a thing is put onto the battlefield, per se. Okay, so it's put onto the battlefield, and in this manner, once it enters the battlefield, it is still seeing itself in exile in that instance. So I guess that's all still happening at once. So it's just kind of a really interesting take on rules and a really interesting interaction overall. And what this means is coming in with that full 10 cost and seeing itself, it's going to come in with the 10 additional 1/1 counters. So when this thing swings on an opponent, that opponent will have to sacrifice 10 permanents, because this thing will have the 10 1/1 counters. So Ulamog has Annihilator X, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on it. So it's going to have 10 1/1 counters, and it's going to make your opponent sacrifice most of their stuff. So just like a really nasty deck overall. So we're just going to say goodbye to Emrakul. We're just kind of showing this for illustration purposes of what the deck kind of was in Brawl and like kind of where it is now. And basically we're kind of lucky. We found a very suitable replacement. It wasn't very hard, and they're very similar in this manner. Like, I don't see too many creatures with this kind of effect. Maybe these are just kind of older cards that kind of have these very interesting stat lines overall, casting costs overall, and just interesting. Like, you know, there's a very like you know what also could do this would be like the Blightsteel Colossus. You could have that as a hit too. In this manner, it would be a suitable hit, because Blightsteel would also reshuffle itself. And that was what was so strong about the 15 costed Emrakul we just talked about, because even if it died, it just got reshuffled. So you can just keep mutating. You have that constant supply of Emrakul coming on the battlefield, because it goes and gets removed, put to the graveyard, and it's just reshuffled back in, and you do it all over again. So the Worldspine Worm is very suitable in this manner, where it's this trample. When Worldspine Worm dies, create 3/5/5 green worm creature tokens with trample, so it replaces itself if it dies, which is nice. And then when Worldspine Worm is put into a graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into its owner's library. So again, you get that like repeatability of it. Let's check out a Blightsteel. Like, I'm kind of curious. Like, Blightsteel Colossus might be also like a really cool card. Yeah, so this is a Trample Infect Indestructible. Ooh, it's kind of evasive, right? If Blightsteel Colossus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Blightsteel Colossus and shuffled back in its owner's library. So, yeah, that would actually be really suitable for this deck as well. We're probably gonna. I mean, honestly, I'm not opposed to having 3 hits either, because I I do like 2, but even having like another like variety package in here seems good. I don't have this card yet, so that might be a trip to the LGS. And I definitely want to present it all to you all at once. So that would be kind of fun, actually. So you have these, basically you have these creatures that kind of reshuffle themselves. You kind of get that repeatable value. This thing can just end the game probably a little bit sooner than a Worldspine Worm could. I'd say like Emrakul kind of fits the same bill as a Blightsteel Colossus, where it has like that built-in an Annihilator. You know, it still has the same stats as a Worldspine, but Worldspine doesn't have that Annihilator package. It just has Trample. Whereas the Blightsteel Colossus, if it connects, right, it just kills the opponent. So that's pretty nasty. So that's kind of like the gist of the deck. I think I was running kind of a high amount of lands too. Kind of gives me a little bit of a cushion. So when I kind of make these decks, I can kind of just like make a cut of a land because I'm just so very high in my land count, and I'm pretty comfortable running like this many lands in this particular deck, for instance. So it doesn't really hurt too bad to maybe just cut like a basic of some sort. Green is very important for us, I'd say. Red is mostly important. We have definitely a lot of blue, so that also kind of drives us. I had more red in here, to be honest, guys, because of there was a particular reason, and you're like, why is he running so much red? It's for the Indomitable creativity, and we'll kind of come over to there in a second. I believe that is a sorcery, isn't it? Indomitable, yeah, it has a different art, and that has 3 red pips, so that's kind of a tough one. That's why we're running so much red. But so we can probably let go of as an island and kind of be still happy here. Basically, yeah, it was kind of a high pip value for the red, so that's definitely why we have so many red mana sources. So yeah, these could be like our 3 here. These 3 nasty guys. We're not doing the omniscience thing. We're going right into some creatures, and we're going to give our opponents a real hard time. Let's see where this kind of deck kind of lands. I did not bracketize it yet, but we're running in the bracket 3: Cyclonic Rift, Gamble, and Ancient Tomb. So that's fine. Nice little bracket 3 deck here. Very, very high powered commander in general, especially running these. It looks like a bracket 3 probably plays a little stronger. Could probably play in a stronger pod too. I would assume so, just because of like the very powerful effects of these cards in general. So, what are we doing? Like, how do we do this exactly? Like, how do we make tokens and only play like 3 creature permanents, that are hits? How do we like get by? How do we do the mutate thing? How do we create creatures so that Illuna can mutate on top? So my favorite kind are the tokens that actually produce mana as well, because you're ramping with them and you're able to mutate onto them. So Awaken the Woods is a perfect card in this manner, where you could simply go like, turn 4, you could sink like 2 mana to this and make 2 Forest Dryad land tokens. And then, like I said, be turn 4. Then you have 6 mana available. If your mana matched up correctly, you could simply mutate onto one of those Forest Dryads. It'd be fine if they were, if it comes in and mutates to play tapped. You don't have to start swinging with this. Really, we're just trying to get into these creatures here. So it'll mutate over one of those Forest Dryads. Once that's successful, then you'll pop one of these out. You'll just simply reveal cards until you get one of these bad boys out. And yeah, that's kind of the whole gist of the deck. Now, what happens if someone like does spot removal on one of your tokens? Like, say, for instance, a Swords to Plowshares or Lightning Bolt, like one of your tokens as you are like attempting to mutate. Like, you go to mutate, which is a cast. Like, I'm trying to mutate onto this token. Does it resolve? And it says no. Someone says no. I'm like, I'm going to Spike Field Hazard that token, or I'm going to Swords it. In this manner, this is a cast, and what happens is that this card would not fizzle. It doesn't fizzle. It basically has no more targets. It doesn't have like a target to target any longer, the particular spell. So in this manner, even though the token died, the Illuna would still live. It would just pop down as the 6/6. So you don't lose the creature even if the token is removed. That would be a bad result because we wouldn't get the mutate, but you would be left with a 6/6. So it's like, well, what happens if I want this thing to die? Like, I can't just have this 6/6. I want to get into my Blightsteel Colossus, my Ulamogs, and World Spine Worms. Well, how do I do that? What's my backup plan? There are some backup plans. There's some really interesting, like, kind of just bounce spells. I thought Fading Hope was like a very suitable kind of bounce spell in general, where you can just return a target creature to its owner's hand. It could be Illuna. It could be something else. It's just like a really nice, cheap, interactive spell. Cyclonic Rift would not work in that manner. That's only a permanent you don't control. Flare of Denial is also a way where we can basically sacrifice our Illuna once it's on the battlefield if we want to start this over again. And it's a really, really kind of janky, interaction in that manner where you're just going to be able to counter something, which is really nice. We get to counter something and put Illuna back in the command zone, which is a really good thing for us. So Flare of Denial is perfect, where we can just sacrifice the non-token Illuna, which is a blue, and go ahead and get the process started over it and mutate again. So that's another way. Kasul's Fury is like another really cool one. We can see like even Kasul Fury in like something like a World Spine Worm seems very intriguing. 15 to the face, 3/5/5s. This is at instant speed, the Kasul's Fury. So really cool stuff there. Really nice stuff. Momentous Fall. That's also a really nice one where you're going to be able to just freely sacrifice a Illuna, or once again, like one of these crazy cards if you have to. If you really need to get in some gasoline, you could just draw 17 cards, in that manner. If things were going bad, like all of a sudden, like someone had a wrath or something, you could just Momentous Fall your 17/17 Ulamog and simply draw 17 cards and gain 17 life. It's brilliant. It's so nice. That's so much selection, and you're just going to be able to do everything over again that you want because you're going to have so many cards. Pact is also just kind of a really nice spell here in general, where you're just like you kind of like protect your combo, right? You have like this free interaction, and you're just very, very, very cagey in that manner. So Pact is also a really cool thing to like, mutate, get something out, and then you have Pact available and just, kind of dictating what's going on. There's so many cool cards here. Phantom Interference is a really cool counterspell because it actually will create a token. So a lot of our spells are going to have some sort of benefit. We're going to want to pay the spree cost for this to get that 2/2 white spirit creature token, and this will be on curve too with our Illuna. You could counter target spell as well when you pay into that spree, so a little bit nice little multifaceted kind of spell there. Really nice ramp here overall. Yeah, Rapid Hybridization would kill your own card too if you needed to kill a Illuna. In that manner, you have some really nice kind of just stapley brawl cards here like Strix Serenade, Wash Away. We can carry those over into EDH. They're just very strong. They just hit commanders very well. Your Swan Song, of course, very nice card as well. Unfathomable Truce has been an MVP for this deck. I really highly encourage you to look in this. It's kind of like the Lorien Revealed in the manner that you can't cycle this, but it's that 5 mana draw 3. What's also really cool about this card is it will actually create a token. So it's perfect for us. In that manner, it gains so much more value than like a Lorien Revealed or any other draw spell, simply because it makes that 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn. Also with Mutate, you have to understand that you can't mutate over humans. It has to be a non-human creature. So all these token enablers that we have, they will be non-humans, and that is the necessitation for mutating. So that's basically it there. Like I said, we kind of mentioned all the token enablers. Even a cool sweeper like Burn Down the House can create tokens for you too. So most all these things will kind of work to create tokens. Glimpse the Impossible is one of my favorites. It's kind of not even close. This thing will just simply create a bunch of colorless Eldrazi tokens. And also you can get a choice of like exiling cards as well and getting to look at them and play them till the end of the turn. Sometimes I'll just like play this just for the 3/0 ones, for the ramp, for the option to mutate over those. Just having 3 is nice. If one gets removed, I have like the option to put another one on the battlefield, or mutate onto the other one. So it's just really cool. Yeah, and like maybe I'll have a backup one. Like maybe my first mutate doesn't go right, but I made 2, so I might have that other one left over too, right? So it's just a sick card for this deck. Beautiful, guys. We can talk about like the other ways we don't just need Illuna. We can actually do this faster than not. We can have circumstances where we're making a couple treasures, and then all of a sudden, we're destroying those treasures with indomitable creativity and exchanging those treasures for permanence. So, for instance, Worldspine Worm, Olamog. So, indomitable creativity works in that same manner where that Illuna works in. So, it's just kind of another backup plan. So, this art might drive me a little crazy. It's hard to find. But yeah, so in this manner, you're just going to, for each thing you're destroying, that you're destroying because you're going to target your own stuff, you will have to pay it. And then the X will be each instance of the things you're destroying. So if you had 2 treasures, you would need 5 other mana available and those treasures to basically pay into the 3, have 2x left over and then for each x you get to destroy a treasure, and if each of those treasures destroyed, you get to peel off permanents from your library until you hit 2 because you destroyed 2 of those artifacts in that manner. So really cool card there. We just love it, and it has a similar verbiage about how the player puts the exile cards onto the battlefield, so you're still going to get that 17/17 Ulamog because you're putting the exile cards onto the battlefield, and as it enters, it's going to see it's still in exile. Very interesting simultaneously, right? Anyways, there's that. Now there's also Transmogrify, which is also very cool in that manner, where you're just simply going to get a 1 of. You're going to pay 4. You're gonna exile one of the tokens, and then it's going to exchange that token for one of these stupid cards. It is kind of dumb, but it is kind of fun. It's fun, It's definitely like kind of a funner one to try out. It's very powerful, and you can still have some opponents that give up a fight. It's cool in that manner. There was, and the thing is like these are cool interactions. Like, you can build a deck like it, such as this, but it's fun along the way to like find really cool cards that just simply are just goated for it. Like cards that you don't really see very often. And the one I really kind of wanted to illustrate for you, before we kind of head out today, is the Swarming of Moria. So if you haven't fans of this, make sure you like the video, because this card is absolutely gangsta. It's going to amass. It's going to give you that token, and it's going to give you a treasure. It does both of the things that we just absolutely love for this deck. We love to make treasures. We love to ramp. We love to make our token creatures. What's also fun about that amass, the 2/1/1 counters, is Illuna will be an 8/8. If Illuna does mutate over this orc, it's going to retain those counters, so it's going to be an 8/8 flying trample. It is just nothing like it, guys. There's nothing like it. And then shout out to Zanarkand. So this is my claim to fame. I bought all of these Zanarkand. I'm like the lobster, the Raghost, the guy who's purchasing up all the Raghosts. Isn't that cool? So I bought a bunch of these. I figured that they would go up. So we're definitely gonna give away for this video. We'll give away we'll do it for the short too. We'll give away because I have a bunch. We'll give away the extended foil. We'll give away the the foil. Are these both foil? Jesus, I have so many foils. Here it is. Okay, here we'll go like this. So we'll get you'll get a foil Zanarkand borderless, the borderless non-foil, and then there's just a regular version of Zanarkand. So we'll do that. Like we'll just do this in we'll just do it in a week, because this will just be awesome. So make sure you comment on the video. And yeah, these went up. They went up a couple bucks. I think I bought these for dirt cheap. Yeah. So yeah, they're already up to I think $1.18 just for the regular version, but they were so much cheaper. No one really No one was really caring about the Zanarkand, but I love it. I love the Zanarkand. Really like it. It makes a token. It makes a big token, a real big one. You get like a, like a 6/6 token or better, and then you can put your Illuna on that and have a really strong Illuna. So yeah, you have your Sokens on, that makes tokens too. Just some really, Colony Garden will make a token. Just some really cool stuff here, guys. Den of the Bugbear is a nice one. That's why I call it went snow too. Also because I believe, did I have Faceless Haven in here? Oh, I did have Into the North. I think I took Faceless Haven out for mana fixing. So you probably don't need Snowlands in this, so I'll probably change those over. But I did have Into the North for Brawl, but I just did Nature's Lore instead. But you can animate these Lair of the Hydras and Den of the Bugbear. What's nice is this, it will make a token, but you can simply animate this if you have enough mana, and you can also mutate over them. And from what I read about the rulings is that Illuna would still stay a creature, even if you mutated over a Den of the Bugbear, which is a really weird interaction. And if you guys want to look into that too, that is interesting, isn't it? Where your manland will stay on the battlefield. It won't like zip back. Now, the thing is, I think if you mutated under the land, then the land would go back and you would have this weird, like, Den of the Bugbear that was in Illuna. But it would just, like, retain the Den of the Bugbear. It wouldn't be, like, anything special. It's totally bizarre. I guess it would just have these, like, mutate. It would have, like, a mutate characteristic or benefit. Whereas if you mutated over the Den of the Bugbear, it'd become the 6/6. And I suppose you would still probably have to pay into that ability to still get the token if you wanted to make a token. Totally bizarre stuff. But yeah, that's the deck. And I guess we can just kind of illustrate some gameplay here. So let's just play test this one. It looks kind of fun. Beautiful Awaken the Woods here. Depending on what you want to do here, you could just surveil here and kind of just get that. And how's our mana looking? It looks pretty good. I would probably get from that mana, it looked like a red blue land would probably be pretty excellent. It's probably keep the Cyclonic Rift. It's very strong. Turn 2 kind of looks kind of sad in that manner. You might just drop down like a. Well, we definitely want expressive iteration too. We prefer to get into that. So Cyclonic Rift, it might actually not be the candidate because you still would probably want to iterate eventually, sooner than later, right? So we might have to say no to that. How's a Triome looking? A Triome really wouldn't kind of fit now we're looking a little better. Burning Catacombs is much better. This would help us get into our green-blue lands. It would help us iterate too. So then we could surveil. Probably surveil it would be fine again. Gemstone doesn't look like we need that any longer. So now we can go into our turn 3. And this is probably an expressive iteration turn on turn 3. We're hoping to hit like a land to exile and to play. You don't want to iterate, immediately on turn 2, the moment you put this on, because then you don't get the full value. But it looks like we're going to get full value here. So you look at the top 3. Okay, so you can play this Valakut, because this is you may play the exile card. So we can play this tapped from exile. We would keep probably. How's our token situation looking? Looking pretty good for the game plan though. You're probably going to be keeping the Pest Infestation just because you're probably going to have some nice juicy targets already, to kind of get into if you want to like start interacting with your opponents. Have a nice little Bolt here and a Strict Serenade as well. So it's really up to you, but it probably might look like something like this. Okay, this particular instance is when we were talking about the Awaken the Woods turn. So in this manner, you have blue-red, blue-green, and red, green, and then you're going to have double 2 more green pips here when we pay into this. So we have 6 mana total going into our next turn. We could simply probably just play this tap to progress our mana. Going to probably see what happens first. So what we're going to want to do is make sure we have both blue available. It looks like we do. We have red. And now we have 3 additional mana. 1, 2, 3. Tap everything. Mutate onto one of the tokens here. The Forest Dryads. This would be coming into play tapped. And now you're simply just revealing until we're hitting a permanent. I believe all of these are bottomed, right? Oh, so you simply exile them. They actually do go into exile. Yeah, so all these would just go to exile. That's the thing about the reshuffling. Like the World Spine Worm is just absolutely. So this is it. This is our target. So, so we got into the World Spine Worm, guys. Okay, so it wouldn't. Yeah, that's very interesting, huh? So yeah, all those would go to exile, and there's really no way to get them back. But we don't need them. You know, we have this sweet World Spine Worm now. We have the Illuna, and we're having a good time. You know, we're having a good time right now. So that's kind of like the gist of the deck, and that's kind of the lottery system there. It could have been anything. It could have been a Blightsteel Colossus. So that was some super fun stuff, guys. And I'm so proud of this one. This one is like a different take. If you don't want to do the omniscience thing, you can try something like this. You could really dumb this deck down with the mana base. I just really like the Surveil lands. This deck could, you could theoretically build this deck for $150. I mean, it's the lands. We rack this up here, $12, $8, that's $20, $40, $55, these are very nice lands, but they're still just cheaper options, $61, $78. Probably would keep their Surveil lands in, or the channel lands are not too bad, most of them. Now we're up to $100. Prismatic Vista, $137, $153. These are a little bit more expensive. The channel lands, you don't really need these. They're not like required. $170. This is now you're at $200. $223. The Triumph is probably something you want to keep. Hedge Maze, this is $240. Gemstone is $40. $280. $294. Now we're at $300. Cavern is expensive. $335. $341. $370 nearly. $370. $400 nearly. And then an Ancient Tomb. So about $485 of land. So you could definitely like skim this mana base down and be like very excited still, and have like a really sweet deck for about $200. So I mean, also this Blightsteel is like kind of expensive. You honestly don't need this. I just want to do this just because I want to try 3 targets. You'd be fine with a World Spine Worm and an Ulamog. You'll be totally fine. But I definitely want to try it out. So, and I definitely want to kind of make the deck more exciting, and more people get excited about it. People kind of get excited about, more prominent cards. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drop a comment and let me know what other kind of shenanigans you're rolling in. This is definitely like a Gandalf-y deck, so this would probably be my first kind of Gandalf-y deck to really kind of show you. It's in that manner where you're very happy just to kind of swim along and just play land and say go. There's so many instances in this deck, and that's a true Gandalf, right? Ooh, Gandalf. All right, guys. Have a great night. Bye-bye.